On behalf of the Women of Halton Action Movement, welcome to the 2023 Undinner Party. I am Beth Robertson, and it has been an honor to be on the committee of this annual WHAM fundraiser for the past 5 years. But even more amazing is the fact that this is the 20th anniversary of the dinner party. We know some of you have been supporters since 2003, and many have joined us along the way. Maybe this is your first one. Hopefully it will be the last that will be virtual, because we sure miss meeting with you in person. It was with an abundance of caution that we decided in the fall to do one more Undinner Party, given the still unknowns of COVID's many mutations. This is also the 112th celebration of International Women's Day. And when we think about the unknowns for women in 1911 and the communication technology they lacked to create a movement for change, our celebration of women, no matter the means, makes us ever so lucky. Welcome to each and every one of you who have donated to WHAM in what will be a wonderfully entertaining program of reminiscing, song and poetry, stories, and of course our keynote speaker, Lisa LaFlamme. All money raised by today's event will be split between Canadian Women for Women in Afghanistan and the Sexual Assault and Violence Intervention Services in Halton. We will hear from both recipients later in the program. The 20th year anniversary will see the International Women's Day dinner having raised over $500,000, with hopefully another $50,000 from this year's total. A huge shout out to the Halton Elementary Teachers Federation of Ontario, who have been with us since the beginning as the founding and title sponsors. Thank you. And to our premier sponsors, Oakville and District Labor Council, the Retired Teachers District 15 of Halton, Bombardieri Family Law, Ontario Secondary School Teachers Federation District 20 Halton, and High Steakhouse. Please check out these and our many other sponsors and advertisers on the website link, as well as in the PowerPoint. Their support is incredibly important to this event's success, and we ask you to consider supporting them in return if possible. WHAM was established in 2001, and in its more than 40 years as a grassroots feminist organization, it has advocated for several significant pieces of legislative advances in women's rights. WHAM is a member of Advancement of Women Halton, a collaboration of 25 local community groups who advocate for a just and equal society. The 2023 theme of International Women's Day is Embrace Equity. Equity brings us to an inclusive world, and WHAM has demonstrated that in each one of us, we can actively support and embrace equity within our own sphere of influence. We can all challenge gender stereotypes, call out discrimination, draw attention to bias, and seek out inclusion. WHAM originally worked to bring in Section 15 to the Charter of Rights and Freedoms, the Equality Clause. Yes, equality is the goal for inclusive human rights, but equity is the means to get there. The recent earthquakes in Turkey and Syria reminded me of the importance of equity to get to equality. For every fundraising dollar received to rebuild the two devastated nations, will there be equity and how will it look? It doesn't mean that dollars are spent equally between the two genders, but does it look at the significant expenses incurred by women at all? Do we make sure women's needs are met for feminine products, for job training or financial security, for their daughters' educations being just as important as their sons in the midst of chaos and rebuilding? Equity should be at the forefront of how the money is distributed. Just as women in Canada and North America felt the brunt of economic disparity because of the COVID pandemic, so the women in Turkey and Syria can use our advocacy in ensuring they receive appropriate support. It is something that both SAVAS and Canadian Women for Women in Afghanistan understand all too well. SAVAS saw over a 200% increase in calls regarding sexual assault and violence since the pandemic started. Afghanistan's women have lived under the brutal Taliban control for over 2 years now, watching their own hope for survival diminish, with too little world attention to their plight. There is still much work to be done, and your support of these two local and international organizations will help raise necessary funds for programs, for more education and advocacy. As the war in Ukraine goes into its second year, we want to recognize the hardships faced by the women and children there, as families continue to be displaced and homes and economic means destroyed. Our hearts hurt for them, and we continue to advocate for a peaceful resolution that sees Ukraine stand strong as an independent nation. History has taught us that there will be little focus on gender equality while chaos reigns. Our program is filled with the hope and the reality of women today. Take some quality time with our PowerPoint presentation. It offers an overview of the many of dinner parties from the past, plus information on WHAM's other initiatives. Sally Armstrong and Lauren Oates, two of the past dinner party keynote speakers, will bring greetings to WHAM and the Canadian Women for Women in Afghanistan, as will Sylvia Sasma, Executive Director of SAVIS. Grandmothers Act to Save the Planet, a dynamic grassroots environmental organization, will speak to the interrelationship between local women and advocacy. We will hear a powerful interlude of songs by female Canadians, including Lisa Muswagon and Raven Hart Belcourt, Sarah Sawer, and Lily Frost. We will conclude the entertainment with Amanda Gorman's iconic We Rise. Take a moment to look at our Wall of Honor with the list of incredible females whose names were provided by donors. Each of us has that one or many special women who have been inspirational in our lives. And just in case you thought I had missed the most amazing part of the program, I did not. Our keynote speaker is none other than Lisa LaFlamme. If you are as excited about this as I am, you are going to love the interview between WHAM Dinner Committee member Karen Byrne and the journalist who has fought the fight for media exposure to women's issues for over 35 years. Lisa LaFlamme has brought us to the forefront the issues facing women in the world of media face, but more so, she has been instrumental in telling the stories of women in Afghanistan, in Canada, in Iran, in the Democratic Republic of Congo, to name just a few. This opportunity to hear from Lisa about her experiences will be the catalyst for many of us to take on that one project, to promote that one idea, to do that one thing to make a difference to another woman. Before we enter the rest of the program, let us take a moment to think of the women who came long before us to our land. My good friend Sherry Seville, an Indigenous knowledge educator and activist, has taught me so many valuable lessons over the 13 years I have known her. I asked her how an Indigenous, Inuit, or Métis woman might want to see a land recognition that honors women's roles. And this is her response. For more than 500 years, Indigenous communities across Turtle Island have demonstrated resilience and resistance in the face of violent efforts to separate them from their land, culture, and each other. They remain at the forefront of movements to protect Mother Earth and the life it sustains. Acknowledgement is a critical public intervention, a necessary step toward honoring Indigenous communities and enacting the much larger project of decolonization and reconciliation. Each nation has its own creation story, often fused with lessons about Indigenous ways of knowing, being, and living. These creation stories weave land and lessons and the importance of kinship systems respecting all relations, especially women. Her lifeblood represents sacred womanhood, along with many gifts, namely her strength, wisdom, influence, authority, autonomy, power, and gift of being a life bearer. The importance of honoring women, kinship, and familial ties, including the relationship to land and waterway, are deserving of the highest respect. Through the Indigenous lens, our waterways, Mother Earth, and women are all viewed as life givers, are all interrelated, and therefore rest on the principle of sacredness. This land acknowledgement at the beginning of our virtual gathering is one single piece of a long process of recognizing those who tended this land before us. There lies a responsibility and commitment toward building trust, including the safety for Indigenous women and other areas of injustice. We must continue to elevate, to acknowledge, and to honor their sacred ways. We do this for our Indigenous sisters. Actions are the forward means to true reconciliation. Please enjoy the 2023 International Women's Day on dinner. Share with others and ask them to donate. And here is to seeing you in person in 2024.